So this is how my friend became my bully. It was fourth grade, and I remember that first day of the school year is always an exciting time because you're meeting new people and you're finding out who's in your class, whether the friends you had last year is gonna be in the same class as this year. And this new kid was tall, he was cool, and he seemed to have this friendly demeanor. And I was always out to befriend new friends, new guy friends that I could play with. And up until that point, everyone was very friendly, very kind, very genuine. And it was very easy to befriend people because people just wore their hearts on their sleeves, except for this one new kid. Behind his friendly demeanor, he would be the one to humiliate me for years to come. So I was a late bloomer in everything. You know, when it comes to my growth spurt, losing my virginity, and especially when it came to understanding sarcasm and humiliation and bullying. You know, from kindergarten to third grade, I had a great group of friends, except for that one kid that stole from everybody in the group. He was ousted, but aside from him, everybody that was in the group that played together were genuinely nice, kind people. So we basically grew up in this protective bubble, I feel. But I guess being protected from the world only lasts for so long because this new kid came in. He was tall, he was cool, he was popular, and I quickly befriended him as he befriended everyone else. And in hindsight, I would say that he was a manipulative sadist, even though he probably did it unconsciously. And son, daughter, if you're watching, be very careful of those who are charming, because it might be hard to see when you're a kid, but when you become an adult, you probably would go, so that's what it was. Because this guy, he was very charming and he was very good at basketball, right? He actually became the captain of the basketball team in my grade school and in my high school. And when you become the captain of the basketball team, popularity just comes easy to you. You become the popular kid right away. And that's what he became, right? So, you know, all the guys wanted to be friends with him. They wanted to be like him. And all the girls wanted to be with him. And with great power comes great responsibility, like Spider-Man says.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
And he wielded that power very cunningly because instead of publicly humiliating people, he'd humiliate them, but in a covert way that brings him inner pleasure. He did all his humiliation under the radar so that he wouldn't look bad, so that guys still want to be his friend and girls still want to be with him. And he did it in such a way so that it was very easy to pull people up or push them down, depending on what he felt like. So, like I always said, I was never the popular kid growing up, especially during 6th and 7th grade. I remember that it was really hard to make friends. I didn't really have any friends that I was close with in those grades. So I started hanging out with some older kids because, you know, when you're the uncool kid, you want to be with the cool kids. And I thought that hanging out with older kids would make you cool. So I found myself with a group of older kids, and there was this one time where we were hanging out at the back of the ravine that I showed you guys around in some other video, and they were smoking. They were doing rollies, and I didn't know what a rollie was at that time, and they rolled one up for me and they gave it to me. He's like, "Here, Donald, you want to try it? Give it a puff and tell us how it is." So I took it, I took a big puff, and I coughed immediately. They just laughed and they told me that there was really nothing in it. So I just smoked pure paper. And that was a prank. And while it was not humiliating in itself, guess who was around in that ravine who popped up out of the blue? The new kid, the new friend, who I thought was my friend. And he was asking us what we were doing, and the guys who gave me the blank rollie just said that I smoked paper. So he thought that was funny because he was way ahead of me in terms of knowing what's cool and what's not. He knew what a rollie was. I didn't. So I thought that was cool. And the next day, went back to school thinking nothing of what happened yesterday. And the friend goes around and tells everybody in class, in the next class, that I smoked paper. And that was supposed to be humiliating, supposed to be embarrassing, right? But me being a little behind, I think I was autistic when I was younger, because I didn't know about all these things. I didn't feel humiliated at all, even though for him, it was under the radar, covert, I'm gonna humiliate Donald. And that's what I think really pissed him off, because he tried to get this personal satisfaction from embarrassing me with this prank that was pulled on me. And he didn't get that. So I was a patsy growing up. My mom's a very honest person, and she raised us to be honest, kind, and trusting. At 12, I didn't think that there were any other type of person other than those kind of people that were honest, kind, and trusted. Well, except for that one kid, the fat kid that actually stole from us, but I thought that was just an edge case. So I was like, all right, this is just some weirdo that was bad or evil. Never did I think that there were more of these people. So it was around 2003 and 2004. RuneScape was really popular. I don't know if you played it during that time, but if you weren't playing RuneScape during 2003 and 04, I don't know what you're doing in life. So that game took countless hours of my life back then, and I was obsessed with it. After school, weekends, because I didn't have a computer at home, I just spent countless hours at the library because there's free internet access playing RuneScape. And my friend knew about that. And I was obsessed with getting all these rare items like rune chest plate and rune leg plates and stuff like that. And my friend was saying that he was quitting RuneScape and he had all these rare items and he wanted to give them to me. And he said, all right, my username is something I forgot. My password is Jiminy Cricket. So, you know, Donald, since you're my friend, I'll give all of my items to you because I'm quitting. And I thought, oh my God, are you serious? You are like my best friend. So when I went home or went to the library, I went and tried to log into his account in order to get the items handed off to me. Spent 2 hours doing that. And I was frustrated because I kept on trying the username, kept on trying the password, and I never was able to log in. And I was wondering, what the heck was happening? Could he have gotten the password wrong? Could he have gotten the account username wrong? That can't be true. And just the password, Jiminy Crickets, could have gave me that hint. You know the talking cricket from Pinocchio? That's Jiminy Cricket. And I was just so disappointed when I wasn't able to get the items that he was talking about. And I was thinking, all right, could he have lied to me? Why would he lie to me? I thought I was his friend. Why would he lie to his friend? And that was the beginning of a growing disdain. And you know, it was like, you are my friend, but you keep on disappointing me and you seem to enjoy it. Why do you do that? It wasn't until college that I figured out in hindsight that that account probably never existed and that he was playing me for a fool. So what did we learn? We learned that when I was 12 and 13, I was a very gullible patsy, and I would basically believe whatever you said. And I think he knew that, and he found his own entertainment from pulling the cover over my eyes or taking advantage of that, and that I would always come back and be his friend and wouldn't leave. And whatever he said, I just took it seriously, and I would never thought he would be lying, and I took his word for truth. And that was really, I would say that was really my first experience of deception. So high school happened, and you know what happens during the first week of high school? People start categorizing each other. They start wondering where their status is on the hierarchy. They start categorizing, is this guy a nerd, a jock, popular kid, or a kid you should avoid? Well, the friend turned bully actually came to the same high school that I did. So I think that for men, regardless of race, color, what they do at first is they posture in front of each other whenever they meet someone new. I do this unconsciously still, I think, that whenever I meet someone new, I start to wonder what they do, because that would tell me whether they're above or below me on the status ladder. And I remember that in the past when I was toxic, what I would do is I would ask them that question and maybe they say something like, oh, I'm 25 years old and I'm just trying to figure things out. I'm still living with my parents. That would immediately help me put them where they are in relation to where I am. And I think something in my mind like, oh, they're a loser. And that's how I'd posture. It's completely terrible. Now I just ask, instead of what do you do, what's going on in life? Do you have any problems I could pray for? Things like that. And it's so much better. But back when you don't know anything better, you would take what you know from the other person and you would use that against them. So for my high school friend who was now turning into my bully, this was his chance. Because he knew about the humiliation of me smoking paper in my elementary school days, because we went to the same elementary school. So immediately what he did is he went and tried to tell that to anyone we'd meet. So son, daughter, the moment a friend uses a story that you don't want to remember to embarrass or humiliate you in front of someone else, that friendship is over. Immediately, there are no second chances, and if they ask you to lighten up, it's just a joke. Well, you can respond with, that friendship is a joke, because obviously you don't value it enough to humiliate me and embarrass me with this story that I'm just trying to get over. I want you to be out of there, because you don't need crappy people like that in your life. So that best friend that failed to give me his RuneScape account, he had no problems becoming the popular kid. He was still good at basketball. He still became the basketball captain. But whenever we were together, like I'd go in junior year to a new class and I find that he's in my class and we meet or sit next to a girl that we've never met before because maybe she's a transfer student, right? And I remember this one time, we found out who was in our class and I was sitting next to this girl that I really liked and he came and sat right next to us. And I was thinking, is he gonna tell that story that's gonna humiliate or embarrass me? Is he gonna try to embarrass me? And you know what? The next thing he did, he told the story. And for me, in front of the girl that I liked, dude, I was so embarrassed. But in hindsight, for the girl, I think she was indifferent. She just didn't give a crap. And sadly, I was never the type of kid that was great at comebacks. But now, if I was in that same situation again, I'd just be there. I'd just sit there for 30 seconds in total silence. And I'd just stare at him in the eyes. And then I'd say something after that 30 seconds like, are you done yet, jackass? Or, are you done being a jackass? Mic drop. So from then on, I just stayed away from the guy. Whenever he'd come near me, I just walk away because I don't want to be around him. And I think that's one of the greatest lessons that I've learned as a kid, to not be afraid to walk away from people who just did you no good. The question I ask myself is, why do I want to hang out with someone who goes out of his way to disappoint, humiliate, and try to embarrass me? What kind of friend is that? And son, daughter, this is the lesson I want you to get from this video. If you are friends with someone who goes out of their way to humiliate you or embarrass you, tell stories from your past that you don't want to remember, that is not a friend. That is a bully. There is a difference between friends who make fun of you cheerfully and you feel good, you have a laugh, and friends who make fun of you and you feel terrible, you feel embarrassed, you feel humiliated. Know the difference, know who's your friend and who's a bully, and make the decision of who you should spend your time with. And if you've enjoyed this video, you might want to check out this video right here.